All right, here we go. Today, Workbook Lesson 187. I bless the world because I bless myself. No one can give unless he has. In fact, giving is proof of having. We've made this point before, that you must have something before you can give. What seems to make this point hard to credit is not this. No one can doubt that you must first possess what you would give. It is the second phase on which the world and true perception differ. Having had and given, then the world asserts that you have lost what you possessed. The truth maintains that giving will increase what you have possessed. How is this possible? That giving can increase what you possess. For it's sure that if you give a finite thing away, your body's eyes will not perceive the finite thing you gave away as still yours. Yet we have learned that things but represent the thoughts that make them. And you do not lack for proof that when you give ideas away, you strengthen the ideas in your own mind. Perhaps the form in which the thought seems to appear is changed in giving. Yet the thought must return to him who gives, nor can the form the thought takes be less acceptable. The thought must be more acceptable. Ideas must first belong to you before you give the idea away. If you're to save the world, you must first accept salvation for yourself. But you will not believe that your salvation is done until you see the miracles your salvation brings to everyone you look on. Herein is the idea of giving clarified and given meaning. Now you can perceive that by your giving is your store increased. Protect all things you value by the act of giving them away, and you are sure that you will never lose what you value. What you thought you did not have is thereby proven yours, yet value is not its form. For the form of what you value will change and grow unrecognizable in time. However much you try to keep the form safe, no form endures. It's the thought behind the form of things that lives unchangeable. Give gladly. You can only gain thereby through your giving. The thought remains and grows in strength as the thought is reinforced by giving. Thoughts extend as they are shared, for the thought cannot be lost. There's no giver and receiver in the sense that the world conceives. And both. There is a giver who retains, another who will give as well. And both must gain in this exchange, for each form that will be most helpful to him, less than what will surely be returned to him. Never forget, you give but to yourself. Who understands what giving means must laugh. Actually, it should be he who understands what giving means must laugh at the idea of sacrifice, since you only give to yourself. Nor can he who understands what giving means fail to recognize the many forms which sacrifice may take. He who understands what giving means laughs as well at pain and loss, at sickness and at grief, at poverty and starvation and death. That is a high bar. He who understands what giving means recognizes sacrifice, remains the one idea that stands behind all forms of suffering, and in his gentle laughter are the egoic ideas of lack, limitation, and separation healed. All right, you guys, just as an aside, I have a little cold. You may be able to tell it in my voice, and I can imagine laughing at this sickness, but boy, I still have a hard time imagining laughing at poverty and starvation and death. So, still working on myself over here. Illusion, recognized, must disappear. Accepting, nope, accept not suffering, and you remove the thought of suffering. Your blessing lies on everyone who suffers. When you choose to see all suffering as the illusion of sacrifice, the thought of sacrifice gives rise to all the forms that suffering appears to take. And sacrifice is an idea so mad that sanity dismisses the idea that giving involves sacrifice at once. Never believe that you can sacrifice. There is no place for sacrifice in what has any value. If the thought that you can sacrifice occurs, this belief's very presence proves that error has arisen and correction must be made within your mind. Your blessing will correct the thought that sacrifice is possible. Having been given your blessing first to you, your blessing is now yours to give as well. No form of sacrifice and suffering can long endure before the face of one who has forgiven and has blessed himself. The lilies of innocence and forgiveness that your brother offers you are laid upon your altar of your mind with the lilies you offer your brother beside his lilies. Who could fear to look upon such a lovely holiness? The great illusion of fear of God diminishes to nothingness before the purity you will look on here. Be not afraid to look at this altar of holiness. The blessedness you will behold will take away all thought of form and leave instead the perfect gift forever there, forever to increase, forever yours, forever given away. Now are we one in thought, for fear has gone, and here before the altar to one God, one Father, one Creator, and one thought, we stand together as one Son of God. No, not separate from God, who is our source, not distant from one brother, who is part of our one higher self, whose innocence has joined us all as one. We stand in blessedness and give as we receive. The name of God is on our lips, and as we look within, we see the purity of heaven shine in our reflection of our Father's love. Now are we blessed, and now we bless the world. What have we looked upon? We would extend, for we would see the blessed world everywhere. We would behold this oneness shining within the grace of God in everyone. We would not have the blessing of grace be withheld from anything we look upon, and to ensure this holy sight of Christ's vision is ours, we offer the vision of Christ to everything we see. For where we see holiness, it will be returned to us in the form of lilies of innocence and forgiveness that we can lay upon our altar, making the altar of our mind a home for innocence itself, who dwells in us and offers us his holiness as our holiness. And that is the lesson. And I'm going to take a sip of coffee and then we'll get into the notes. Hope everybody's doing great out. All right. Clubhouse says poor connection. Try to find a stronger signal. So I will switch over to cellular network, but it's clearly much worse than the Wi-Fi network. So I'm going to leave it like it is and hope for the best. Here are the notes to lesson 187 from Tom's book, Understanding A Course in Miracles Workbook Lessons, How to End the Blame, Shame, and Guilt with Love and Forgiveness. I bless the world because I bless myself. This lesson asks that you bless the world because you bless yourself. Certainly, if to give is to receive, when we bless another, we would receive that same blessing in return. Yet, what power do we possess that would lead us to believe that we have the authority or the right to bless the world? Our world teaches that our experiences lead to our thoughts. We are taught that we are the product of our environment or our genetic makeup. We are brought up to believe that our mind is designed to react to outside forces and stimulus, and that these external events are the original cause of our thoughts. This leads to our belief that our mind is reactive rather than causative, and that any creative power that we possess comes from our ability to manipulate the external things in our world. External things become what we value because we assume that those things possess creative power over our thoughts. Yet in the world of time and space, which is the world of individuated perception, science is now in general agreement that thoughts appear to possess a creative power of their own and can even manipulate the physical world. It now appears that human consciousness or thought is the causative agent for what you call into your awareness. This course has been attempting to demonstrate what thoughts create, that thoughts create things. Your thoughts are the creative force behind everything you see. Things only represent the thoughts that originally made them. Thoughts come first, and your experiences are the product of those thoughts. Things are merely thought forms in slow motion that appear temporarily frozen in time. Over time, all forms change, yet the thought that created the form remains because we falsely attribute creative power to the form rather than the thought that created the form. The observation that forms change over time. Fear would not be possible if we did not believe that change is real. The ego's belief that form is real creates the illusion that is used by our fear-based thought system to prove that you have changed over time. This change means that you no longer remain as God created you. You no longer are perfect, whole, and complete. The world values form because it perceives form to be the reality of what you are. It fails to recognize that form is only a representation of the creative power that exists in the mind that created the form in the first place. We mistakenly believe that the form is the source behind the creation. Because of this, the world of form teaches that when you give something, you lose the creative power that the form was believed to possess. The world teaches you that you now have fewer resources than you previously possessed. The egoic, fear-based thought system teaches that sacrifice is required when we give something away because it fails to recognize and acknowledge the creative power of your mind. Both the thought systems of love and fear agree that you must possess something before you can give it away. But when you believe that form possesses its own creative power, you erroneously believe that when you give that form away, you lose that creative power. This is where the two thought systems diverge. The thought system for love teaches that all creative power resides in the mind, and therefore, when you give, there's no sacrifice. When you understand that thoughts become things, you realize that the giving of form requires no sacrifice. Since thoughts never leave their source, when you give the creative power of thought to another, you strengthen that thought which remains in your own mind. The thought is extended as it's shared, but never lost. There's no giver or receiver within thoughts as we traditionally associate those terms, since there's no diminishment in either party. The giver of original thought has reinforced and enhanced their idea. And now there's another who can also extend the same thought. Each party benefits from the exchange of the idea. And each has the thought that is most helpful to them in their slice of individuated consciousness, right? When you understand the creative power of mind, you must laugh at the idea that giving requires sacrifice. Sacrifice rests on the idea in limitation. Limitation is an attribute of your belief in separation. The world of form and the idea that you're the body are the ego's proof that separation is real. The body is a complete example of fear in form. The ego has erroneously assigned the creative power of mind to a form that lacks any creative power of its own. When you reclaim the creative power of your own mind, you reinstate the truth that your mind is the creative force that powers and generates your provisional reality. You realize that you're the dreamer, and therefore you have the power to end the dream of lack, limitation, and separation. You now realize there's no one to blame or forgive but yourself and your own past egoic beliefs. You can become, right now, a messenger for the truth of what you really are. You can forgive yourself for your detour into fear, and fear will simply dissolve away. Fear is merely false evidence appearing real. By holding and sharing the thought of creative power of mind with another, you open the door for another to accept their own holiness. When you look past the body and see another as part of the oneness of all that is, you help them heal their belief in lack, limitation, and separation. And their healed mind is made holy and whole. Ta-da! Because you realize the power of mind and what you really are, you're now in the position of blessing your world with the truth that all are part of the shared mind of God. When you share that thought with another, you strengthen the idea that all are unlimited spirit, and as such, there is no external power that anyone could rob from their divine inheritance and accept themselves. When you do this, you bless the world because you bless and recognize the sinlessness and innocence, your big S self, your higher self, your Christ nature. And the question of the day is, if you realized that thoughts are the causative power behind all things, would you still believe that giving required sacrifice? I'll put that in our little shared chat and hand it over to Tom for our meditation. Thank
This lesson is I bless the world because I bless myself. In this lesson, it talked about lilies. Lilies are a symbol for forgiveness. When you give lilies, if you think of that as forgiveness, I think that hopefully that will help. And earlier, I think in the previous lesson or two, they talked about the idea of forgiveness as being your function, that your function was forgiveness. Your function is the role that we're going to play in time and space. Uh, that our purpose is love, which is to demonstrate being love informed, and that our destiny is the peace of God. It also says in this lesson, I bless the world because I bless myself. And bless is to see whatever you're looking at as perfect, whole, and complete. To give that idea of uh, their wholeness, their oneness, that there is no blame, shame, or guilt, that they are sinless, that they're just playing their role. So uh, these are various ideas, but the problem that we have in time and space is our belief that form is something that has power in itself, and that we really, not our thoughts that create, but rather the form itself that has some power to generate or impact our beliefs. So we want to be looking, in the course is trying to show us that thoughts create things. So rather than do a meditation right now, I'd like you to just take a moment and close your eyes. And what I want you to think about is to think about your useless hand, your ugly hand. And now open up your eyes and look at that hand and see how you perceive that. Do you see perhaps an old, decrepit hand? Do you look at that and start seeing the hand's flaws? Now, just observe that hand. And now what I'd like you to do is to close your eyes again and think of that you're going to look at your useful, helpful hand, that you're going to look at that with love. And now open up your eyes and look at your hand. What do you observe? Does the hand look the same, or do you start seeing the qualities in that hand as something that is helpful, beneficial, that you can appreciate and love? I don't know what your response was, but for most, when they put a thought in their mind and then they go out and look at their external world, what the physical senses report back to you is what you expected, what you told your mind to find. Perhaps in that first example, when you were looking at your ugly or useless hand, you saw the age spots or the scars, the weariness, the sins that the hand created or that you perceive. Now, I'd like you to look around again and spot something in the room. And what I'd like you to do is to, let's just say that there's a lamp, whatever you observe in that room. Let's look at that and look at that and see, let's say it's a lamp. I see that lamp. I see that lamp and see that you have that lamp. And how do you feel when you know that you have that lamp? Now, what I'd like you to do is to, again, close your eyes. And what I want you to think about now is I want you to be that lamp and be the actual lamp. Go there and be the lamp and see how you feel. Now, what I'd like you to do is pick another thing in the room and see it as, let's just say it's a door, whatever it might be. Look at it as that door or that whatever it is, and observe how you feel with the idea that that is out there. Uh, Clear your mind. And what I would like you to do is to, rather than see it as that door, see it as I am the object, whatever you were looking at. I am the door, or I have, or I am being the door. How do you feel with being the door? Okay, now when you think back, did being the door, did that feel different than that door that appeared to be outside of you? When you have something, you actually, for most people, they would feel that there's a connection, that there's a oneness, that they are that door, that light, that lamp, whatever it was, that when you're being something, you have it within you. When you see something as that door, that body, it appears to be outside of you. And you perhaps seem to have less of a connection. What we want to realize that if minds are joined, we have that connection of being that door, that door is a part of us. There's a difference between the idea that there's a form outside of myself and that I am that form. Most people, their perception is different. When we color our world as ugly, that's what our senses are told to see. And it's that thought of ugliness, of hate, of lack, limitation that we have told our senses to go out and perceive in our world. When we see the world as blessed, as part of the oneness, as perhaps a no longer mistaking the form for the essence, the energy that you are, things are observed differently. So, with that in mind, let's take a deep breath and take in what you are, which is energy, thought, and realize that we can call it light, we can call it energy, but what you are what scientists might call potential energy. And potential energy is form or is a form of energy that is latent, it's just sitting there. And when you have intention, you move that energy and it becomes kinetic energy. Otherwise, rather than potential, latent, just sitting there, it now is activated. Scientists are telling us that it's our consciousness that seems to activate this creative force within us that starts moving things and starts manifesting things in physical reality. The Course says that thoughts can be shared. When you share a thought, an intention, you send, you transform what you are, energy, potential energy, into kinetic energy. You send that out, and that starts activating other things around you. When you do that, other supposed entities outside themselves, other individuated aspects of the oneness of all, are like a receptive tunnel, a radio station. They pick up that energy, they receive that energy, and they often respond, and they will respond in a way that they perceive that. If I send out hate into my world, if I see my brother, my sister as a lackey, as something that needs something, I send out that signal. That is what they will receive. For that is what I am sending out. I'm sending out the signal that there is lack, that there is something wrong with them, that they're a sinner. And if they accept that as their own truth, that idea within both minds are strengthened. We get the signal coming back, yes, I lack. Yes, I have something less than being perfect, whole, and complete. Thoughts are shared. When we send out that thought and the lesson asks us to bless our world because we are blessed. We can only bless the world if we have within us the belief, the thought that we ourselves are part of that one, that we ourselves are blessed. And to bless is to be whole. If we see ourselves as whole, we can bless our world. We cannot mistake the gain token, the role that someone has been assigned in time and space to fulfill as what they really are. Have you ever think back in your life when you felt not perfect, not whole, that you felt that there was something wrong with you? And think back at a time when someone, perhaps someone that cared for you, a parent, friend, saw you as something that was lovable and sent you their blessing, saw you as someone that deserved love. And when you think back at that, realize that their thought that you were something that deserved love, that deserved forgiveness, that as they gave that to you, if you were open and you received it, that whole idea was strengthened. Thoughts become things. Thoughts alone can be shared. When you give and you have the idea that you are God's beloved child, when you understand, I am blessed, you can bless your world. You are God's beloved child. The Holy Spirit within you, your higher self, knows that truth. God's love flows endlessly to you. You receive that love. You have that within you. I accept the love of God, and now I have the love of God. I accept that love of God, and I am that love. I have that energy, that truth that is given to me. I have it. I am it. And because I have that, because I see myself as blessed, part of the oneness of all that is, perfect, whole, and complete, not some body, some costume or role that's been assigned to me to play on this game board, but the truth of the Christ reawakening to its spiritual magnificence, because I have received that blessing, that truth, that energy. I now can give that away. I accept the love of God and I extend the love of God. I am blessed and I bless my world. You have within you the truth. You have within a guide, your higher self, the Holy Spirit, sharing the truth with you. Today, as a recipient, we will receive that truth. And as we receive it, we can give it away. I accept the blessings of God. I accept the truth, and I extend that truth to my world. I bless the world because I bless myself. I bless the world because I bless myself. I accept the truth. I accept the idea that I am light energy. And because I am that, I have that, I can extend that. I bless the world because I am blessed. To give is to receive. Today, let's make the intention to use that potential energy to extend that truth and share that truth with all we come in contact. To use the vision of Christ and not mistake the roles, the game tokens that people have been assigned to play in this act, this grand illusion of reawakening to the truth of what we are, to remembering, to honing our skills of being love and form. And today, since you have been blessed, since you are perfect, whole, and complete, and you accept that as your truth, you can make a deliberate choice as a decision to bless your world. Your function in time and space is forgiveness, realizing that the actors that strut and appear on this grand illusion are just fulfilling roles that we need to reawaken and hone our skills in demonstrating love in time and space. Our function is forgiveness, not mistaking the roles for what the true reality of the actors are. I bless my world because I am blessed. And as you make a decision today, how you will interact, what thoughts you will share with your world, let's make the intention to share the truth and see all, not as the role that they might play, but to share the truth that they are not perhaps the sinner, the person that thinks that it is the body, but their spiritual essence remains as God created, perfect, whole, and complete. And as you make that decision to bless your world because you bless yourself, just become aware of the birth and connect back with the game token we call the body. And as you do, and you move that energy and reconnect with the body and reactivate and connect back with the body. Send the lightning bolt down through the soles of your feet. Reconnect to wherever you're sitting, standing with this planet, or and realize that today I bless the world because I bless myself. And when you feel connected, just take a deep breath and open your eyes, realizing that you are the light that lights your world. The world is a reflection of me. The God in me recognizes the God in you. Namaste. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. That was wonderful. Really appreciate it. This is a great lesson for me. I hope it's something that's helping you guys. And I think that's about all I've got right this minute. I'd just love to hear what you guys think.
Wow, wow, wow.
Bravo.
Yes, bravo. This was the one for me. I don't know what it
Amen.
was about this lesson, but it delivered. It just, I finally really got it. It just nailed it for me. Um, I get why it really brought me back to that earlier lesson about what I see has no meaning, because it's a manifestation that it's form. It's like residual form. It's not the truth of what is. It's just creation. It came out of creation, but it's not creation itself. Um, we are the truth. Our light is the truth. The form or the suit or anything we see is just, it's really old, actually. I think Abraham says that. Of course, we love it and we bless it, but we're continually creating from spirit, from light. It's a continuous process and that's how we can heal and shift and always do better. As it all comes from source energy. We never have to. That's why, if something is in life that we don't want or is unwanted, it doesn't have to. We don't have to continue to see it as having power. Because where it came from is unlimitless. Source is unlimited. And did I say unlimitless? um, I received a miracle this morning because I experienced a shift in understanding of what all this means. I no longer have to stay trapped in whatever experience I'm experiencing. I can make it better. I can shift that into what is preferred because I can have better thoughts. I can produce better, more real, right thinking. I can have right thinking. When I have right thinking, then what I see will, of course, change and be better. Yeah, I bless myself as I bless the world. I just blessed myself this morning. Thank you, Tom, for the way you explain that. I've studied law of attraction. I've studied these things for years, New Thought, and today is the day. It just crystallized for me, and I'm having a profound experience here in my bedroom with you guys. And wow, so happy to be here. I'm so grateful, and it's something that you really put into words very well this morning. Maybe it's just a result of everything I've been studying, and finally it all just came together. So thank you for that. Thank you so much.
It's amazing because that exercise at the beginning, when he said, well, let's not meditate, let's just take things around us. How would you be if you, how would you feel if you were that lamp? Feel like that lamp. And instantly my mind went, well, if I was that lamp, I will feel bored. But when somebody turned me on, I will feel glad. And then I was cleaning up something here in the windows, and then, well, if I lose this window, I will be very happy that Adriana is taking care of me. Things like that, and it was so joyful, that exercise. I really appreciate that dynamics, different dynamics in meditation, because the the spirit is free. Meditation doesn't have to be a single process, doesn't have to be a way of just sit down and then feel your body and then connect with. No, it is fluid, and meditation can be with your eyes open. In contemplation you can also find the oneness, and that was amazing, Tom. I was really with my smile. I was with my smile all over the place doing some cleaning around here, and I really enjoy it. I was thinking this morning I should tell Tom that we should can have another kind of meditation to just switch a little bit the process and make difference, like different rhythms in meditation, and he nailed it today without me even say it. And that is another example of how the mind works. I didn't even have to speak to him to have a beautiful meditation, another beautiful meditation from him. So thank you very much, Tom. This has been wonderful.
And I was the purse on the floor, and I could feel what it feels like to be leather. I could feel to the inside of the purse, to what it feels like. Oh, people are going to put something inside of me that I can carry. Um, I could actually feel that experience of being like hollowed out, if that makes any sense, and to be like a container. And I really went there in the meditation, which is fun to do. I actually did it. I think I talked about it here before when I was watching a bird, and to be the bird and to feel what it feels like to have those little feet and to hold the branch. And because we are that, we are everything. We are capable, like you say, Adriana, all day. Like just be in that meditative, contemplative state, and to have this be a continuous experience all the time, not just to sit, in 15 minutes or an hour and that's it, but to embody it and be present all the time. And that feeling is amazing. That's what I'm going to work on today, what I'm going to do, because I don't want to slip out of this. This is me. It's who I am. Um, wow.
That is so wonderful. I mean, really, Janine, every single word that you're saying right now is really wonderful. Thank you, because you're describing exactly my own experience here, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful to see that we can have that glimpse in our perception. We didn't have it before. You were saying that at the beginning of the book, there's this part that says, well, this chair is not a chair and whatever. And at the beginning, we didn't understand it because we were asleep. We were thinking that the chair is a chair, and that chair provided that experience to us. When, when the matter of fact is completely the opposite. You and we with our thoughts fixated things around us in order for us to have an experience of something, of the truth or the fear within us. And unless we go through the process of experience and applying things with our bodies, with our minds, we will perceive those things as they truly are. They are just the consequence of us in our mind. So it's wonderful when you get that glimpse with your body. Great.
So go outside and tell somebody else about these things, and they'll think you're nuts. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing? Because we, I have always believed, and I was shown also that everything.
I'm gonna say something because you just light up my mind with that specific concept. Why would you go outside and tell anybody what you experience if they are you? You wouldn't need to tell anybody because you are
that,
them.
and they
It's
already
funny.
know. And they already know. But
Exactly.
because we share, we share. That the thing that happens here and in other rooms similar to this, we don't, it's not unique, is that we share ideas. And the ideas are just what the mind puts up in front of us. And when we are directed to move our attention from one area to another, and we do so, we can basically see the same thing from a different viewpoint. And awakening is really like getting a different viewpoint. Consider